I don't feel like anyone's talking. They're blockers. That's not why I came to Hollywood. Fucking backwards. Bullshit.
I hate to break it to you.
The Saget story is a great example of this. So let me set it up for the people. Okay. So, and then I want to tell you what I think about it, though.
Okay.
So I get asked. I have this, CAA is my agent, and they're great. And I still rode with you after all this shit.
We had a brief fall. I'll talk about that. But go ahead, yeah.
So Bob's like, look, it was simple. Bob's like, look, I'm gonna fucking do my headlining show. It wasn't at the Coliseum, but it was like the next biggest thing at Caesars. It was this huge ballroom.
It was like a conference room, conference room.
No, it was like a
ballroom.
Ballroom. It was like 3,000 people.
Whoa.
Bob was doing like 35. I was gonna do 20. The MC did 5, and I got you in to do a quick 5. And Bob's like, sure, it's great. And then Roger Schiffman, the fucking man, he was his jet, and I let my buddy Solowitz come. I don't know why. And it was you and Stu me and Stu were gonna rap because we had Rolling with Bob Saget, and that was the song that he used for his special that was getting hot. He did Entourage. And then, he would use that song and we'd rap it at the end. And Bob's like, this is a funny gimmick. And I'm like, let's just get this guy on. And Bob's like, they keep it really tight, but sure, you trust him. I'm okay. Which was a big deal.
Yeah.
A big deal to ask one of the 3 name marquee headlining shows, a Friday night sold out show, who's one of the names that they're building this festival off of.
Yeah.
So you go up. And I believe you had a good set, but instead of 5 minutes, you wanted to do 10. And all fucking hell broke loose.
Now my time?
Why? Go ahead.
This is what happened. So for me, keep in mind, I've been doing comedy for 2007.
No, this was 2006. You were
I've been doing comedy for like a year and a half, 2 years max. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
A year and a half. So I talked to the people at the HBO Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
They sent me a contract. The contract said you are doing 10 minutes for this thing. So, and it was a month in advance. So I spent that month working.
They sent you a contract for this guest spot?
Yeah, I got paid $1,000. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying it was like legit. In my mind, I was like, Jesus, this is like the most legitimate thing I've ever done. And it was contracted for 10 minutes. So I spent that whole month working my 10-minute set, like exactly 10-minute set, right?
Okay.
Every time, I was like, I'm gonna do my 10-minute set. We're on the plane. First time I've ever on a private jet.
And it was a bomb private jet.
Bomb as fuck. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool. Getting our bags, walking out. We're in the limo with Saget, and I guess it's then fiance, whatever. We're getting out. We're about to split off into our hotel rooms. And then before I leave, he goes, how much time you do? This is like an hour before the show. How much do I said, I go, oh, 10. He goes, do 5. And he walked away. And I went, and my head exploded because I was like, I didn't have the ability to like navigate. Like, what do I do? So this is what happened. So I call Masada because he was my guy. I said, Jamie, what do I do? And whatever. I mean, he's fine if I say this out loud. I go, Jamie, what do I do? Bob Saget told me to do 5. Meanwhile, keep in mind, from my point of view, you hired me and you were the headliner. So I didn't realize that you were the feature and Bob, I thought you guys were co-headlining.
It was his show.
I didn't know that. I thought it was your show.
Special guest Jamie Kennedy. Bob Saget's fucking
I didn't know
show.
that.
Special guest
you're
Jamie
a big star
Kennedy.
Too. I thought you were on the other thing.
But it wasn't my show.
I thought it was like
it was also
show.
his jet.
I get that, but I thought it was like co-headlining.
His suite. Those stakes were because of all him.
I get it. I see that now.
Go ahead.
So I call him like, Jamie, what do I do? I don't know how to compare it down to 5. And Jamie says in a light way, he goes, but the fuck Bob Saget. Just do. He said, do what the comic do. Pretend you don't see light and do 8 minutes. He said, do 7, 8 minutes. You'll be fine. Can you do that? And I go, yeah. He said, don't do the full 10. Don't do more, but like keep it comfortable. So I think I did 7.5 minutes, maybe almost 8 minutes. And I don't even think that was a problem. I think at one point I saw Bob Pogue said like, how long is this guy doing? But then I got off stage. So I don't think that was a problem. The problem was that I was writing with Tucker Max at the time. I had a blog and I had my this is like pre-Google and pre-Facebook and pre-social media. So I had my little blog for my small amount of fans that would read my little blog and get me my like $3 a week from it. And the title of the blog was Fuck Bob Saget. And it was not about fuck Bob Saget. It was about how funny it was that was the advice. So I didn't shit on Bob. I didn't shit on the show. I just talked about how funny it was. I was like losing my mind because I didn't have the experience to cut a 10-minute set to 5 minutes and feel comfortable in front of 3,000 people. And when he goes, fuck Bob Saget, it just relaxed me. Like, okay, fuck, it doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. And to me, it was just Bob Saget is like an American icon, and saying fuck Bob Saget, it was just a funny juxtaposition of words. Now, I didn't realize that pre-Google, there were still search engines that would like aggregate and give to people. So Bob's people found this blog and he found it and he did not like that.
This is one of the reasons why I think you're not bigger.
Sure, I have plenty of moments like that.
Why did you do that? And to that dude, because you understand, thank God that Bob is a rational human being, but he was not happy. And I had to like co-sign you.
Yeah.
But the fact that you already went over time, he wasn't happy, but I think you guys were cool throughout the weekend.
It was so cool because it was still like
but it was
7.
Like,
yeah.
But then you wrote a fucking blog about it. No, dude, and the blog was not good. You definitely took shots.
There were some things in there. I didn't take shots but I definitely was like, I guess I thought like no one would see it. No one cares. It's a small group.
Why did you do that? You bit the hand. You didn't bite the hand that feed you. You bit it off.
Whatever
you bit
bizarre need for validation that I have or whatever.
This is the L.
I get that.
L.
And obviously the title was the real problem. If the blog by itself was maybe, but the title was the real problem. I get that. And so I removed it right away. And this was the fucked up thing because my mom was in the hospital. I thought my mom was going to die. And I'm in the hospital and you called me to basically like, dude, I can't work with you anymore. Like you're off the tour. So I'm looking at my mom on a fucking respirator like I thought my life was fucking over, dude. It was like the worst feeling. And
I'm sorry.
He had called Masada at like 3 a.m. and be like, fuck this guy. Don't let this guy work at your club. And then Jay Davis wouldn't work. A lot of people like heard about it. And I just was like, it was almost like getting fired from the play all over again. I'm like, my fucking comedy career is now over because of this. And yeah, it definitely hurt. I saw Bob years later and I apologized and he was cool about it. So, it wasn't, so you don't do things to hurt people. Like I didn't want to hurt Bob Saget. For some reason, I thought it was funny in my head.
What was the whole blog about? The blog was not good.
The blog was basically, it's like writing a diary, right?
Yeah, but you put it on the internet.
Of course, but this is before the internet was the internet.
But the internet was the internet. And you didn't realize the internet was the internet.
Yeah, it was stupid. So, yeah, and that's happened. That's bitten me. Things like that have bitten me in the ass before. So it was dumb, and obviously, if I look back, I wouldn't have done it. But yeah, it's hard because I didn't have bad intentions. I thought it was kind of a funny thing, and then when it happened, I probably should have taken the L right away and like removed it right away. But I think the first thing I did was try to change the title and try to like change some of the words.
What did you think? What did you write? Did you wanted to write like how you're saying the blog was about your fear of?
It's not that different than what I just told you.
Like you basically said how 10 became 5 and had you adjust it, and then what got you through it is that phrase.
Yeah,
and so you were like, okay, but you did take some shots at Bob.
Did I?
I kind of remember. And he was not happy, and he shouldn't have been. Just if he didn't know you, it wouldn't be like cool.
Yeah,
but the fact that he let you because
course.
at the behest of me.
Yeah,
there was like multiple levels of why you shouldn't have did that.
I don't remember taking shots at Bob Saget.
You didn't just burn one bridge; you burned like 3 bridges. you burn a bridge with the fucking
all around Manhattan,
an icon. Then you burn a bridge with the guy you're working with. You probably burned a bridge with the festival,
and with Jamie a little bit Masada for sure. Yeah.
Well, he's the one who got you into it. Did he say anything?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of like. He doesn't really get too involved in the drama and all the politics.
But he helped.
Yeah, it was just, it was one of these things like I felt like this happens a lot where something happens and you just want to talk to the person. Like I said, Bob, just call me. I emailed his fucking agent. I said, please just call me. It's misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I did not mean to say anything bad about you. I thought it was like something funny, like fuck Mickey Mouse, fuck Bob Saget. Why would you say fuck? It was a cognitive dissonance.
You dehumanized him.
And I get it. It was stupid.
Let me explain this to you.
And I like Bob Saget, and I never had a problem with it. So it was just a dumb thing that I thought was funny at the time.
Let me explain something to you. I know you're like a porcupine when you get in the corner and needles are coming out.
But I didn't do it out of like,
I know, but people don't know you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is going to sum you up in a nutshell for me. I'll never forget this. We were in Miami. We're doing some show. And I was really like, I got to get my next special ready. And it was like selling really good, and it's a beautiful town. And every week I'm in some crazy city, and I'd already
Coconut Grove. Is that what
and I'd already been around the world, and I've already done a lot of stuff. So I'm like, let's just like I'd already taken the perks of fame and had a great time with them, and so now I'm not saying I didn't want them anymore, but it's like now it's work mode for this. And I remember we were supposed to write at like 2. I was going to write from like 2 to 5, and there was so many levels to this.
I know exactly what you're going to say. I was like, I met a girl.
Let's see. So you said, well, yeah, you said, and I'm like, dude, it was like 3 o'clock or something. I was getting busy. I was late, and I was like, okay, so I called you like close to 3. I'm like, dude, where the fuck are you? You're supposed to be in my room. We're gonna write for 2 hours. I'm gonna test this shit on the fucking 9 o'clock hot show. We'll work it out by 7, 9, and we'll see where we're at. And you're like, I met a girl and I went to the beach and, I'll be there later. And I was like, be there later? Like, you fucking supposed to be here, blah, blah, blah. So then I'm like, you got to come back. So then you came back and you're wearing like some fucking like two-tone shorts and some leg fucking warmers from Jane Fonda, and you're all hairless. And I'm like lost in my mind. I'm like, dude, where the fuck are you? Fucking this. And you go like this. You go, dude, I work with you every fucking week. It was something to the point of, I do this, I fucking in and out, I work for you, I sell merch for you, I punch it up. If I'm going, there's sometimes we come to a beautiful fucking city, and if I can't have 3 hours at the beach when I meet a new girl to enjoy myself, then I don't give a fuck and don't want to do it. And you lost your mind. And I said, calm down. I'll never forget this. And it's like the power of celebrity. And I was like, dude, calm the fucking down. You're in the wrong. You go, no, fuck you. And I go, just chill the fuck out. You go, I want to fucking rip you in half right now. And you were so mad. And your neck was all bulging in your muscles. And I'm like, fuck you, bro. Fuck you. You fucking need to fucking write. And then you were like, and you like punched through a wall. Or
really?
Walked through a wall. No, you didn't. Like, you were so angry. But it was funny. I never felt threatened. I never felt you were going to punch me.
Of course not, yeah.
And it was weird. It was like, you still know that like I was like your little egg or whatever. And you liked me. Like, you weren't going to take it there. But you were fucking punching the air, screaming. Yeah. You stormed out. You had to get your fucking bearings. And then I think we just did the show and we talked about it. But the thing about it is, and you said that another time, when I needed to work with you in Africa. And I'm like, dude, where are you? And you're like, oh, I'm at the bar. And I'm like, well, we got to take the tape set and transcribe it. You're like, dude, I'm on the fucking shores of South Africa. I met a brilliant Brazilian girl. And I don't know when I'm going to be in Africa again. So the writing is going to have to wait. I'm like, I don't give a fuck where you are. And there was those 2 times that I was like, because I was like, dude, my mentality was this. I had already been around the world. Yeah. That was the first time I was in Africa, but I've been to Africa 4 times total, 3 times since then. Yeah. And I was like, thinking, if you do this right, you're going to go back to Africa. Yeah. We're always going to go back to Africa. We're going to go to Prague. We're going to go to Sweden because I've done these places. And I'm like, I know how it is. But you were like, I don't know if I'm going to get here again. So you were like, I have to suck in every bit of what this city is. And I understand it from your POV, but you would just...
never really been out of America.
No, dude. And you were barely out of Virginia. So that's when I was like, okay, that's when I was like, you got to do your own path because you have to go through it and understand people. Stanislavski has a great quote, and you'll appreciate him more than most people. It says, love the art in you, not yourself in art.
Yeah.
And I think we all go through these different phases. You know, maybe Bill Hicks, maybe George Carlin. You know, that's about it, of like people that just had to do comedy or they would self-combust because they were so pained. You know, Kurt Cobain, I believe, was like that. You know, these Al Pacino, like these pure artists that don't give a fuck about anything other than just the art. You know what I mean? They're pure.
Yeah.
And then there's like people like, you know, people that do it just for the parties, the fucking perks and all that shit. And then there's people like, I think I'm in between. Like, I think I was like, loved the life and I was like, oh, this is really good. And then I discovered I kind of have this ability. And then after I absorbed a lot of the life, I was like, what I have left? I'm like, well, I might as well be good at it and really respect it. And that's when you hone down. And I was in that phase of my career and you were still like, even though you could be this great artist. Yeah. So you're like, oh, fucking drink this wine and fucking eat this. And then we got to admit, we were eating great, drinking great, living great, you know, the whole drill. It was
and at
like
that time, it was like, it's time like meeting girls. You would meet girls doing off-Broadway. You know what I mean? You meet guys.
Yeah.
But, so
when we were going to every city every week, we would have packed shows and people enjoyed us.
So this is what I'll say, Jamie. It's like being a parent. Like, you know, and having a daughter. Like, it's not like you look at your parents and you're like, oh, fuck. And then you're a parent, you're like, oh, I get it. You know, same thing with me when I became a headliner and I had features that would kind of drag me down or kind of go against what I wanted or run the clock or whatever the thing the feature did that was not helpful. Because I'd like to be like, well, I'm a headliner. Like, if you're my feature, do whatever the fuck you want. Do crowd work for 25 minutes. Fucking kill it. If we have similar jokes, I care. But then you start looking at the integrity of the show. And there are times where you're like, hey, man, I'm on the road with you. You got to be, it's my show. You got to be more of the support. And so I started realizing, so that's when I realized, like, oh, fuck, Jamie, I get it. Like, I get that even though we were friends, and I think what bugged me is because I wasn't able to compute at the time, like, wait, we're friends, but he's treating me like an employee, and you can be both. By the time, I didn't really have the tools to kind of like navigate that. It just felt like it was either we're homies or I'm being treated like a lackey or a servant. And I was like, what? No, but we're friends. How can he do that?
It's a difficult position. There's multiple things you said to this, and I want to comment on. It's like the first thing is just like, remember what you just said is that I did a show recently, and I listen, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want in front of the show. But two things. The only time we only ever had issues, because you could do it was like we would do some premises because you were starting to write for me and you were giving me tags that was literally 95% of the similar joke. And I was like, dude, you gotta like just leave me a little bit. But we would do certain stuff and that happens. And we were okay with it. It was just those moments. But other than that, I actually think I'm very good about, I bring strong fucking comics on the road. Like people that kill, you know. I hear stories, but people don't and all this stuff. But that's number one. Number two is I did a show recently, and this guy was just, that's why I don't like to like work with unknowns. And he just, you ever work with somebody they touch on every topic.
Yeah.
That's a hot button thing. Make it not funny. Instead of getting a laugh, they get a ooh, and then good night, and they burn 15 subjects.
Yeah.
Where if you have a detailed joke about 4 of them, it's not gonna pop as much because they fucked it up.
Yeah.
There's a certain comic that we both know. I don't want to know names, and this dude will go on every rant about everything and never have it be funny.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you just burned pretty much everything in the comic. You have to do such a personal act after that because you can't talk about anything topical.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the only thing that annoys me about other comics. But you weren't like that. You were just like, we would get similar. But very rarely we had that issue.
Yeah, I think in general,
you would kill.
Consider how long that we worked together.
Kill.
I think 90% of the time we worked together, we just had a fun time.
100%.
And
we were
then
clubs and after parties. But wait, I want to comment.
And you're good at forgiving people.
I am.
You would lose your mind and want to punch me, and then we were cool like an hour later.
Yes,
that's one of your talents.
I am good about that.
Yeah.
But what would you just say before that about what you were just saying? Oh, fuck about.
Well, I was saying that most of the time that we spent together was good.
Before that,
well, just learning after I became a headliner. And learning like what I need from a feature. I don't need much, but there is a certain amount of, you just want the acknowledgement like, hey, this is your show.
Here's what it is. Yes. This is what, for anyone listening, like people don't get it. Like people hit me up all the time to fucking do spots and stuff. And it's like, my agent trained me from a very young age. She's like, listen, you're a famous guy. You went from doing open mics to doing 5 minutes at the Improv in the store. That's what I did. To the factory, to getting TV spots, and that's all I had. But now you're getting these headline spots are middling. And so like guys like Saget, guys like Rick Overton, guys like Craig Shoemaker would bring me to Comedy Magic Club or these different places or Tempe, and they would let me do 15. Gary Valentine, you know, I would do all the press with them, but I would only have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they was like, but I was still a name. The pressure was off. So it was like a name and a new name, right? And I was like the new name. And then I built. So she's like, look, in order to get, I would start getting these headline gigs in these B and C rooms. This is like 6 years before I met you. She's like, you have to bring an opener who's going to help sell your merch. I didn't even know what merch was. And really tag up your jokes. And so all you could do is be creative. And you're going to give them the time. And then you're going to work from there. And that was a great thing because then that took me from like 15 to 45. And so... You know, some comics did it. They were better. Some comics were just better performers. You know, guys like Flip would just hit me up. He would just see me at the club and start tagging me up. And I was like, boom. And then you did that. And you had this ability. You were a great MC, a great middle, but you also are a great writer and a deep writer. Now you have some personal things what we're talking about now. But so you really took it to the next level. And you were also a salesman. Like you could say you were pretty good. No, you were pretty good with the merch sales. We had Dina.
Yeah, Dina and Stu.
Yeah,
Dina was good.
He was good. But so like people hit me up now and I'm like, okay, well, are you going to write?
Yeah.
Are you going to social media? Are you going to sell? What's your thing? It's just, there's no free lunches anymore. And so what you were saying is that I wanted to tell you is that you were saying about how it is. Oh, fuck. You're talking about that.
Well, just me being a headliner and then working with a feature who is actually not sort of, who's acting in a way that I find not completely.
People, you had a great phrase, and I don't know if it's exactly what I'm talking about, but it's so true. And I think there's something, you introduced me to the phrase called kill the Buddha.
Yeah.
And what's that movie with the lady and she wants to be the other lady? You know what I'm talking about?
All About Eve?
Yeah. I'm not saying that is in you, but there was a little bit of that. Like had all of this stuff happening and there was I know what it is. It's with assisting and stuff. And there was a resentment building up with you. And it was like, dude, you weren't there with me in the early 90s when I was sleeping in my car. Like we're here because of that, because of all the sacrifices.
Yeah.
And so I always tell a good opener, it should be like this. There's two ways you can do it. You can have a team that supports you and rides and dies with you, and their role is that they accept it and they boom. But it's hard to do that because a lot of people, most human beings are ambitious.
Yeah.
So they want to fucking get higher. So to me, like you should have a good tree. You know, like Judd Apatow has an amazing tree of people that have worked in his movies and that they became stars and produced those movies and stuff. And then there's other big performers that may just have a team and they've been with him forever and they help propel that thing to becoming this huge thing. And so for me, you need many workings within many legs to make the spider crawl.
Yeah.
And you were like that, but eventually you're like, why aren't I the spider?
Well, I think that's...
And that's why I would say become your own spider.
I think that's how it like occurred to you. And I think there's maybe some truth to that. But the truth is, man, one thing that I've learned in my life is I'm not really... this sounds so weird to say. I'm not really like a leader. I don't want to say like, I'm a beta male.
But you are
I'm not
alpha.
like... But I'm also kind of like, I like being someone's second. Like
I think you do.
I like being your second. I like put it this way. We went out to a club. If there was a problem, I wanted to be the guy to fuck the dude up. You know what I mean?
You like that.
I wanted to be the guy to be like, hey man, like you want to talk, you know, like there's a part of me that is like that because I've never been the most social person in the world. I'm not the person, like I was the captain of my soccer team and I was like, I don't want to fucking talk to you people. I just want to play. You know what I mean? So I'm not a natural kind of, I want to lead a team into battle. I want to be behind the guy leading the team in battle, which is a weird thing to learn.
If we went to a club and there was a couple of sixes, you weren't mad to take the other six.
or the 5.
Can you say that? But the problem is I had that with you, and I also had Stu had the same type of thing.
I think Stu might have been closer to that because Stu
He definitely had that.
was a little bit maybe more because I felt like I never felt like, oh, fuck Jamie, he's more famous and or I deserve it. I never really felt that. I think for me it was more along the lines like I grew up in a very insulated family, like Irish America, like white trash, 2 brothers, not a lot of friends growing up. I was never Mr. Popularity. So when I had a friend, it was like, this is my person. This is like my ride or die for life. So anything that subverted that idea in my head was like, like my worldview got shifted. So when you would say, motherfucker, show up and do your goddamn job, for me, I'm like, but wait, we're blood brothers. What the fuck is that about? So I didn't know how to handle it at the time.
You know
now
what?
I look back, I'm like, oh, that was stupid.
I will say this. A lot of people can't. There's a person that used to work for me. And this person, I've had this a lot, dude. I've had a lot of assistants. And you should.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be someone's lifelong assistant.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be someone's lifelong opener unless you're playing Madison Square Garden every year with that person, or you're set up for that. You can believe that. And people want to make it in this business, but then they start to resent you. And it's like, but you're still, whether you like the person you work for or not, you're still next to the business.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, and this person was like, he started not to like me. And I'm like, then why are you here? Like, and then I'm so when you're so working and you're desperate and you're on the road and you're fucking doing podcasts and you're doing guest spots on TV shows and you're doing a fucking movie in another country, you're fucked. You're on a hamster wheel and they got all your credit cards. They know everything about you. And that's how I like to talk about celebs get fucked up. People don't realize it. And we don't even realize it. And the team starts hating you, or certain people start hating you, and you're like, well, you can leave, but they're on the nipple. Yeah. They don't want to admit it. They're miserable with themselves. Now, you weren't like that, and it's like, dude, become your own king. Yeah. And then that's when you got to get them off that nipple, and they either learn or they end up hating. I can't tell you how many assistants I've had. I think I'm going to do a pod about it someday. I probably have like 13. Listen, some of them are like our housewives. Some of them are bitter, like, want to be artists. Some of them are executive producers on humongous TV shows. And some of them have passed away. Yeah. This is the business we've chosen. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's that whole thing about pay up Hollywood, which I push back at. I get annoyed because it's like, I'm not writing because I'm not being. No, maybe your script's not great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what so pisses me off about it. Yeah. And so, like, you know who went to Princeton? Brooke Shields. Mm-hmm. Do you know who else went to Princeton?
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain, who hung out with Brooke Shields. Yeah. Dean Cain also taught me how to crossover dribble. He was an incredible athlete.
Shit. Yeah, he was.
You know who also went to Princeton?
The Menendez brothers.
Yup, who murdered family. Yeah. You know who also went to Princeton? Craig Mazin, who wrote the Hangover movies and Chernobyl, just won an Emmy. Why no? So all types of people went to Princeton. The fact that you went to Princeton is incredible. And that I know it's a different type of intelligence because you have world. But
you
have
said, like,
street intelligence.
You've always said you have this like chip missing where there's like,
because you have the ability. You can walk in the Ivy Leagues and you can fuck with them. You can fuck with the aerospace engineers. You can also fuck with Crenshaw on 43rd. But yet you would argue about getting me a coffee. Which I get, because you're like, this fucking bum didn't even go to community college and I'm getting him a coffee. What the fuck?
No
but
way,
you know, dude. I would, and you would kill on stage, but you also know I would kill on stage. Yeah. And he would be like, what? So it's got to be weird for you in the sense because I didn't go through those machinations, but I still became my whatever.
Here's the thing you gotta realize too. I was brand new to comedy.
Yup.
You were my first headliner that I toured with.
And I was known. Like, it wasn't like I was an unknown headliner.
Yeah, so you were also my first famous friend.
Yes.
So for me, like, what it represented a lot. It represented a foray into the business, a foray into comedy, a foray into touring, a foray into like a lifestyle.
Many feathered bird.
You know what I mean? And then at one point I'm like, oh, Jamie's like my buddy. He's like my best friend. And then you kind of like realize there's a point where
Here's
you're
what
friends, but you're also an employee.
I got to answer it right there. This is what it is. With women I've dated, with friends I've had. I did this pod recently. Just remember say private jet. So this is what I tell them. It's like why I keep my circle so tight and barely have any friends. Money and success doesn't change the person.
Yeah.
It changes people around them.
Yeah.
And that's a big fucking thing. Like people who are getting it always knew they were going to get it because they went through the machinations to get it. But like for you, here you are opening up for me and Bob Saget in Vegas at the hot TV festival, TBS, who's like blowing up comedy on a private jet. All you had to do was fucking shake hands and kiss babies.
And be grateful.
And be humble pie.
Yeah.
And then you got aggro. But then what I get is like, for me, getting on a private jet and getting to do 5 minutes, that's it. Like, whatever you need. Like, dude, you need me to fucking clean your balls? I would do it. But that's me because the good always weighs the bad. And it's like, that's why I have a problem with a lot of these things that are happening. I'm not saying they shouldn't happen, but it's like, it's the air is rare, what we're going for. If everyone could do it, everyone would. And they can't. And it's like Scott Rudin threw a stapler at my head. It's not great, but it was Scott Rudin's stapler. I mean, you're right there to Oscars. So the problem is maybe I would take too much. Maybe I would take a stapler to the head. I don't feel like anyone's talking. They're blockers. That's not why I came to you. Fucking backwards. Bullshit.
I hate to break it to you.